So, who's the top 10 of 2004 in the WWE, NWA-TNA, and TNA? At number 10, Kazarian. Bitter was the best way to describe Frankie Kazarian's year. When he returned, he was bitter that he wasn't picked to be on Team NWA for the X Cup. So he beat team members Jerry Lynn and Primetime Eagle Skipper in matches. He would go on to win the vacant X Division title by defeating Amazing Red. He'd lose the title to AJ Styles. Kazarian and Michael Shane were both upset that AJ Styles returned to the X Division, so they formed a tag team and even temporarily co-won the X Division title together. At number 9, Sonny Siaki. This was the year that we saw a more relatable side to the Ace in the Hole. His girlfriend returned from a back injury, and we saw his change in attitude as he showed more compassion and a more protective side. This was also a year that we saw him align with Simon Diamond / Pat Kenny in his feud with the NYC. The two beat the NYC in a humiliation in a box match, forcing Glenn Gilberti and Johnny Swinger to dress up in ridiculous costumes, and then beat them in a double or nothing match to keep them in those costumes longer. However, Siaki would lose his contract to Goldilocks when Abyss beat him. He, Desire, and others were regulated to being her slaves until Eric Watts won his contract back for him. Together, him and Watts would beat Goldilocks' henchmen to free the other wrestlers. The final nail in the coffin of this feud was when he, Watts, and Desire defeated Goldilocks, Abyss, and Alex Shelley, ending the war once and for all. This is Siaki's second appearance in the top 10, with his last being in 2002. At number 8, Abyss. Abyss started the year out as Jeff Jarrett's lackey, which led to his feud with AJ Styles. Their war led them through many matches, including a Falls Count Anywhere match, a tables match, and a ladder match, with Abyss winning a majority of these encounters. The two even won the tag titles, but would vacate them when the two couldn't coexist. After he left Jarrett, he would become infatuated with and align with Goldilocks. Goldie used Abyss to secure other wrestlers' contracts so she could have a stable of slaves and personal servants. He was able to defeat Eric Watts, D-Ray 3000, Shark Boy, and Sonny Siaki. However, once he realized he was being used, his heart was no longer into it, and the Uprising defeated Goldilocks to regain their freedom. As the year came to an end, it appears that the monster has someone else guiding him, as he has reverted back to his brutal nature. At number 7, John Cena. This was a breakout year for John Cena. At WrestleMania, he defeated Big Show for the U.S. title, but more impressively was that he was able to get him up for the FU. He had an impressive run with the title, defending against Booker T, Rene Dupree, and Rob Van Dam in a 4-way elimination match, and beating Booker T in a best-of-5 series. At Survivor Series, he was one of the survivors of his team as Team Guerrero beat Team Angle. However, things took a dark turn leading up to the Survivor Series as Cena was stabbed in the kidney at a nightclub. Everyone assumed Carlito Caribbean Cool did it, but it was one of his cronies, Jesus. Cena was able to get a measure of revenge on Jesus when he destroyed him at Armageddon in a street fight. At number 6, Petey Williams. And speaking of breakout years, the Canadian destroyer Petey Williams. He initially came in as part of Team Canada to try and win the World X Cup. In his very first match in TNA, he defeated Jerry Lynn and Juventud Guerrera at a triple threat match. He was soon bumped up to team captain of Team Canada. Although they failed to win the X Cup, he and multiple combinations of Team Canada defeated multiple pairings of Team NWA and Team Mexico, including beating Team NWA in a flag match. But his biggest accomplishment came when he won the vacant X Division title in a 20-man gauntlet for the gold match. He would hold that title for the remainder of the year, having great title defenses against the likes of Sanjay Dutt, Chris Sabin, and AJ Styles. At number 5, Empire Saint Pat Kenny. The year did not start off good for Simon Diamond. His tag partner and best friend Johnny Swinger betrayed him and formed the NYC with Glenn Gilberti and Trinity. Diamond would align with Sonny Siaki to help battle the NYC. It was at this point that Diamond would embrace his Irish heritage and would start wrestling as Irish Pat Kenny and then Empire Saint Pat Kenny. The NYC would try to humiliate Kenny at every turn, which would lead to the humiliation in a box match between Siaki and Kenny against NYC, where the losing team would have to wear ridiculous outfits. Sonny and Pat won, and Glenn Gilberti had to dress as a leprechaun and Johnny Swinger as a hula girl for 30 days. The rematch saw Sonny and Pat win again in a double or nothing match, which extended the previous stipulation to 60 days. After this, Kenny began to feud with Vito, who was fighting on behalf of the NYC. They would have a pair of matches, with Vito winning the Sicilian Street Fight and Kenny winning the Irish Weapons match. The reason I put Pat Kenny in the top 10 is because, like Sonny Siaki, we saw the wrestler grow as a person over the year. It was like once he changed his attitude, he started winning more matches. At number 4, AJ Styles. AJ Styles is the only TNA Triple Crown champion, and this year he rounded the bases again. He started the year chasing after Jeff Jarrett to get his world title back. This meant going through Abyss and the red shirt security. As a way to keep AJ busy and to punish him, AJ was forced to team with Abyss to take on the tag champions, the red shirt security. This wound up being a 3-on-1 situation. However, AJ pushed through and won the tag titles single-handedly. The titles were held up following an intense feud with Abyss. After this, he would face off and defeat Jeff Jarrett in a steel cage match to win the world title. He defended the title weekly, picking up wins against Ron the Truth Killings, Raven, and Chris Harris before dropping it back to Jarrett. After this, he would go back to the division that made him a star in the first place, as he would beat Frankie Kazarian for the X Division title. Like when he was the world champion, he was a fighting X Division champion, with his biggest defense coming when he beat Chris Sabin, Amazing Red, Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, and Michael Shane in a 6-way match. He would only lose the title when a jealous Kid Cash interfered in the Ultimate X match and cost him the title. This would lead to a series of heated matches with Cash, including a couple of street fights, and ending with Styles beating Cash in a double tables match to finally end the feud. This is AJ Styles' third appearance in a row in the top 10. He's up 5 spots from last year. If he makes it to the top 10 next year, he will tie Sting for most consecutive top 10 appearances. At number 3, Chris Harris. This was a year that Chris Harris tried to prove he was more than a tag wrestler and pursued the world title. In one night, he picked up 3 victories as he defeated both members of the Naturals in singles action, then beat them both in a handicap match. As a singles wrestler, he beat Kevin Northcutt, Shane Douglas, and Raven on the road to the world title, but unfortunately he was unable to capture the big one. As a part of America's Most Wanted, they had an incredible year. In addition to winning the tag titles again, A&W picked up some major wins. They beat Red Shirt Security in a rawhide strap match, the NYC, Team Japan, the Naturals in a ladder match, and Team Canada in a country whipping match. At one point, James Storm was injured, and Chris Harris teamed with Eagle Skipper to briefly hold the tag titles. Towards the end of the year, both AMW and Triple X was trying to determine who was the best tag team of TNA. The two met in a best-of-3 series, but the results were inconclusive. They then faced off in an elimination match, which the Wildcat was the sole survivor. And the year ended with both teams headlining the Turning Point pay-per-view. AMW beat Triple X in a 6 sides of steel, forcing Triple X to disband for good. This is Harris's 3rd year in a row to be in the top 10. He was number 6 last year. Like AJ Styles, if Chris Harris can make it to the top 10 next year, he will tie Sting with most consecutive top 10 appearances. At number 2, Hector Garza. We haven't seen Hector Garza wrestle in America for years, and his last run was pretty forgettable. Well, this year he definitely made an impact. Representing AAA, he initially wrestled for and then later became the team captain of Team Mexico for the X Cup. At the first X Cup event, Team Mexico would beat Team NWA to win the X Cup. They would successfully defend their cup at the next two X Cup events, beating both Team UK and Team Canada. They would drop the cup to Team NWA at the final X Cup event of the year. However, it was at this event that Hector Garza would pick up a very impressive win, winning a 16-man Gauntlet Battle Royal. And his biggest victory would happen at Victory Road, TNA's first 3-hour event, when he would win a 20-man X Division Gauntlet Battle Royal. It was a huge year for the international superstar. And number 1, Chris Benoit. It took him 18 years, but he finally reached the top of the mountain. The deck was stacked against him as he entered the Royal Rumble at number 1, and he would survive and win it. Then he would move on to WrestleMania, where he would beat Shawn Michaels and Triple H in a triple threat match to capture the world title. He would defend against HBK, Triple H, and Kane during the summer before dropping the title. At Taboo Tuesday, he would essentially win the world tag titles by himself when his partner Edge would walk out on him during the match with La Resistance. Regardless, Benoit finally hit the top of the level this year.